house, and the lights went off, and my mom was like, what happened? And we was thankful that it stayed on 2 days longer than it should have been. I didn't know she was coming over. We decided there that even in our little, we're going to give something to God first. And he would take us back to a place with the right mentality to give up the cake. All right, just slap somebody high five and say, give up the cake. God sometimes asks you to give what you think is nothing. Because sometimes what he gives you, if it's not enough for the harvest, it must be a seed. Right? Sometimes it must be a seed. It's not going to put you no closer to the soup line than you already are. Right? It's not going to put you, but it could get you out of that, right? So that's one widow. Can I go to the second widow? We got time today? Okay, so now, first of all, let me explain Elijah. Later on, because he's working so hard and because he's confused, he gets suicidal. Elijah gets suicidal. God talks to him, and he gives him instructions. And the first thing he says is, go start mentoring someone else. Go get you some help. Go get you an assistant. Elijah goes and finds a dude by the name of Elisha. Right? And Elijah says, I want double the anointing that you have. And if you read 2 Kings, you'll find out that he did double the miracles that Elijah did. Let me show you the two of them together. I like it. Now let me read Elisha's story. Now, y'all know Elijah. Elijah's the one that told the dude to dip 5 times. He didn't want to dip it first. And then he went back later and dipped. This is Elijah, right? He's a prophet. So now he's dealing with his widow, right? The widow that God assigned him to. 2 Kings, the 4th chapter. I want to read this story. Read 7 verses. And it starts off by saying, one day, the widow of a member of the group of prophets came to Elijah and cried out, my husband who served you is dead. And you know how he feared, respect. That word feared in the Greek means respect. Respect the Lord. Right? But now a creditor has come threatening to take my 2 sons as slaves. What can I do to help you? Elijah asks. Then he says, tell me, what do you have in the house? Nothing at all except a flask of olive oil, she replied. And Elijah said, borrow as many empty jars as you can from your friends and neighbors, and go into your house with your sons and shut the door behind you. Pour olive oil from your flask into the jars, setting each one aside when it is filled. So she did as she was told. Her sons kept bringing jars to her, and she filled one after another. Y'all still with me? Soon, every container was full to the brim. Bring me another jar, she said to one of her sons. There aren't any more, he told her. And then the olive oil stopped flowing. When she told the man of God, that's Elisha, what had happened, he said to her, now sell the olive oil and pay your debt, and you and your sons can live on what is left over. Right? Okay, so let me deal with this. Right? It's almost the same story, but it's a little altered here. The lady goes to Elijah and says, my man used to work for you before he died. And you know he was crazy about God. After that, he was the one paying the bills. Now, I am left to do so and raise our 2 sons. His creditors are saying, you're not going to be able to pay me back my money, then give me your 2 sons and have them come work for me as slaves. She goes to the prophet. She doesn't ask him for anything. She just tells him her story. He says, let me see what I can do. He doesn't go to his house. He does not reach in his pocket. He doesn't pull out a phone to Cash App. He does not Zelle, Venmo. All parents should know all of this. He does not do none of this. He does not raise an offering for her. He does not have a GoFundMe set up. What he does, he says, what's in your house? Whoa. Okay, well, hold on a second. I'm getting there in a second. I'm going to preach this thing here. Now, he says, what is in your house? The conversation shouldn't be about complaining. It should be about what is in your house. Meaning, let's start with, what do you have? You came to tell me what you did not have. Let's start with what you do have. You came to tell me what the devil stole away from you. I want to know what God kept the devil from stealing. You are saying that you don't have anything but a little olive oil, and I'm saying let's start there. And I want to let you know that all you have to do is have a little something, because the Bible says do not despise small beginnings. Now, I believe that she was hurt. And when you're hurt over what you lost instead of looking at what you still have. And that is the thing that happens to us in 2025. A lot of times we are complaining about what we don't have or have never had instead of praising God for what we do have. And I want to let you know that you can miss out on what you do have while you're still wilding out by what you don't have. Oh my God. Let me talk to the women a second. For those of you who are dating, you cannot treat this man and make him pay for what your ex-boo did. He broke your heart. God sent him away. This next thing is in your house. Are you going to complain about somebody that went back to their house? Or are you going to complain about somebody who's bringing flowers to your house? What's in your house? Is it something God is telling you? What do you still have left? Shalonda has said, Dr. Sunshine has said, when you start going around the house, you're grateful for everything. Thank you for this towel, because I'm dirty as hell. Thank you for this table, because I can't carry it by myself. Thank you for this seat, because I'm tired. Thank you for what. What's in the house? Got to be careful when you're mourning someone who has left the earth. Got to be careful not to disregard who is still here. What's in your house? What gift have you not worked? What talent have you not used? What has God put in you? God is not giving you nothing. He's reminding you of what he gave you. Everything that you need for the next level, you have it. It might be a little, but you mix it up with faith. The lady in the first story only had a little something, but a lot of faith. And I stopped by this morning to tell you that you might have a little something, but you mix it with a lot of faith, little becomes much when it's placed in the master's hand. Let me get through here. Tell me what you have in the house. Her perspective changed. She says, I have nothing but. She don't have to say I have nothing. just tell me what you have in the house. She says, I have some oil. He doesn't reach out in his pocket and gives her more oil because that can help them last a couple of more days. He says, go to your neighbors and your friends and ask them for jars. Don't ask them for what you have. Ask them for what you need. Here is the problem with us. Sometimes it's not a lack of resources, but it's a lack of relationships. We don't have a resource problem. We have a relationship problem. Because sometimes you are too proud to beg. Sometimes, particularly us, because we've been treated miserably and our dignity have been stripped. And so we look like we got everything we need. And meanwhile, we're praying in private for God to give us what we need, but we don't want nobody else to know that we need. And what God is saying here, he says the first thing you got to do is humble yourself and admit you need help. And I'm hoping I'm talking to somebody, because God has somebody in your life who can help you with what you're trying to do. You may not like them, you may not want to spend time with them, but God is sending you with your crazy attitude to get up out of yourself and forget what you're thinking. Remember, you got a family to feed. Remember, you got mouths to feed. God is saying, if you really want something, use the people I placed around you. This is why now it's important that you're never making a decision that I'm just going to do this by my dang self. I don't need nobody as long as I got King Jesus. I don't need nobody else. King Jesus got 12 disciples who he needed in his mission. You're praying instead of looking. Who have you called that have what you need and you said, I need it? A lot of times we don't do it because we know there's a bigger probability that they're going to say no. Your calling them is not based off of what they're going to say. It's based off of you doing everything you can to make sure that you get what you need. And if you're stopping that, I know it's hard to shout right now. We're going to shout a little later. We're going to shout a little later. But I know it's hard now because you got pride. Let me tell you about that pride. When we started this church and I had to come off the road, didn't have money, and I was thinking I need to work a 9 to 5. Now, I ain't worked a 9 to 5 since... Yes, right. It's actually 94, so you close. Right. UPS, right? Now, here's the thing. I had to get on the phone. I knew a person, a guy who I brought on the road, had a school now. And I knew calling him, asking him for a job, would alert to him that I ain't doing so well. In the music business, you always got to act like you're doing well. Because people only hire people who other people are hiring. Yeah, okay, wait. And so can I talk about it a little second? We were at the place, I remember I was going to the Clive Davis private pre-party. And I parked around the corner because I didn't want them to see the car. Everybody's getting out in their car, you know what I'm saying? I walked up. Shep, what you doing walking, man? I don't feel like waiting this line. I didn't want you to see the Montero.
Stop the cap.
Y'all not feeling me here. I'm gonna tell my story. I ain't ashamed, right? And so, literally, what was the story I was telling right before that one? Oh, going to get a job from the school. When I asked him, I finally got up enough nerves. Wait a minute. I finally got up enough nerves, and I said, yo, you got any jobs for me? Now, I had been there to talk to the kids about being successful. Y'all not feeling me here. So now I'm going back to the person that brought me in, like, look at this dude, he got all that money, look at that. And I'm saying I need a job. He calls me back after that conversation and says, I'm sure I can't pay you. I can't pay your type of musicality. And I called him back, like, nigga, what are you paying? Can I only use that word twice in a sermon. I won't use it 3 times. You thinking about the Facebook Shep. I'm talking about the one who's facing bills. I'm face bills Shep. I'm talking about face bills Shep. And literally, I made it a point to call all of my people, one of my best friends, the superintendent of another school, I'm calling there, blah, 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 nothing. Literally, God would not let me work. And I had to tell Dr. Crawford, come from school and work for a year. Just give me a year. Look at somebody and say, give me a year. I need you to receive that. It says, I might not look like it now, but give me a year. Oh, I'm in the process right now, but just give me a year. Or look at me this time next year. I promise you, baby, you're going to see change. Somebody yell out, this time next year. I mean that thing. I mean that. What's today's date? The 26th? Or look at somebody and say, February 26th, 2026, I promise you, it's going to be better than it is right now. Just give me 1 year.